do it this way. Okay. Make sure you get it on all the exposed length. Now you're going to find out when you grab this, it's got a little bit of moisture to it. The guys at Finchville have learned over the 60-some odd, almost 70 years of curing country hams that they do two things. They mix the brown sugar in right before they're going to use it, because brown sugar has a tendency to grab the moisture in the air and clump up, and they want it to mix evenly. They'll also, for two reasons, they will wet this down a little bit, just to where it feels moist. Number one, you can see how it's sticking easier when it's moist. Number two, what did we say the prominent ingredient in this was? Salt. What's the next prominent? Sugar. What are the other three ingredients? Paprika, black pepper, and red pepper. You're standing over red and black pepper, and if it's not wet, guess what you're inhaling? Yeah, if you sneezing, and it's really going to hurt when you sneeze too, because it's going to burn. So if you do this at home, a little bit of moisture on there helps out tremendously. Okay. Now, what I like to do, these paper is in a rectangle, and I like to get this on a diagonal. The reason being, I'm going to bring it a little bit further back this way. What I like to do right before I start to wrap this is this excess cuir that fell on the table, I'm going to ball it up right here at the hock. Okay, it's kind of hard to see what I'm doing, but these folks, they can assure you I'm doing what I'm telling you. Ball up a little bit on the hock, and then as you bring this bottom corner, make sure you get some of that balled up cuir on that hock so it can start to wick it up there. Simply bring that corner up, bring another corner up. And we're going to start working from the top, over like so. Hold that in, pull down, pull this in, boom. It's all done. Okay? Then you want the hock to point down. Now, don't get real excited, folks. If you get a little bit of, your paper exposed to some of the surface, that's no big deal. Okay? No big deal. You see, we got our sock here. Find the opening here. That may be the hardest part. There's a little bit on there, yeah. It'll wick itself down there. Yep. Yep. It doesn't penetrate very well over the skin. What some folks will do, and you can do this as well, it's no big deal. You can see I kind of struggle with the paper and I had to refold. They'll put a piece of tape there to hold it. A piece works good. Wrapping it up like a mummy with plastic tape does not work good. Okay? Then we create a moisture barrier and we can't get through there. Now this little, some of them have a seam, some of them have this little clip down here. Just make sure that little clip's about the middle of the ham. So. Then, here, shake it down, get good and tight. Now here's another thing that I learned. Now you get it like that, start massaging the skin up. That'll help prevent that skin from wrinkling as it starts to cure and age. Massage it up like that. Folks, that's as scientific as it gets. Now, and just a word of caution, when you spin your ham, don't get your glove caught in there. There you go. Just like that. Now, before we turn you loose, this is is what's going to happen. For the next 60 plus days, that salt and sugar is going to penetrate that ham. And like I said earlier, a grad student of mine at UK did the research, showed that it's going to penetrate on average about 1 inch per week. It does kind of a three-dimensional effect, okay? And you say, you didn't put much on the skin. What it does is, what we found out research, it's going to penetrate underneath the skin and migrate down underneath the skin. Okay? How do we know that? A lot of torturing grad students doing salt concentrations do all this. As it penetrates, going in there, into the muscle, it's going to kick out the moisture. And so what will happen, and if you come back a week from tonight and open up that barn, you're going to see all these hams dripping water. And that's what they're supposed to do. We actually did a little experiment in class. We put a little cup underneath one of the hams, and the first week they'll fill up about 1 full cup of water coming out of that ham. Okay? So they lose it pretty quick. And its job now is to get right down in there, penetrate all the way down to the bone. Now this is going to take the next about 60 days for this to happen. In the next 60 days, what do we hope happens to the weather? It's warmer, right? That's what we want, because we want the temperature of this ham to slowly start to rise. And as it slowly starts to rise, it's going to open up more of those channels, and that salt that spent its time going this way is going to start to equalize itself throughout the ham. That's the springtime. That's what artificial environment cures call salt equalization. By that time, we're going to take it out, and Ty's going to have you back. We're looking at probably, what, April-ish? Yeah, around April. If you wanted to smoke it, this is the time to smoke it. Cold smoke, less than 100-degree smoke. If you hot smoke it, you're going to kill the enzymes, and that's the enzymes that are going to break down the fats and proteins to create that flavor.
Smoke it with the paper on it?
No, take paper off. Yeah, you can leave. You can put a new sock on there, because the sock is, you can see it's very, very loose. Okay, it gets in there. Use hardwood. I judged a ham show one time, and I picked this ham up, and it smelled just like diesel fuel. And the little boy was there, and I looked at him and thought, "Son, does your dad have a diesel tractor?" And he said, "Yeah, why?" I said, "Well, this ham smells like diesel fuel." And he said, "Well, I put it in the barn and I hung it on the rafter, and the only way I could check it was to hang it over the tractors, because I could climb on top of the tractor and check it. So every time Dad fired up that diesel engine, guess what happened? That black smoke." So we always use hardwoods, hickories, cherries, mesquites, maples, those types of things, all right? Then summer rolls around, and this is when those enzymes are going to start breaking it down. And you're going to get that characteristic country ham flavor. We do. It's nothing to it. I mean, you can go, I mean, I don't think you want to invest in the type of smokehouse we've got. About 200,000, so that's all computerized.
Talk a little bit about the conditions that you want to hang it in. You said you prepared the barn the other day. What's all involved?
The preparing the barn is cleaning it, getting all of it out of there. The best way to keep pests out of a food company is to do what? Well, get rid of the food. But since it's a food company, we can't get rid of food, so then we do the spraying. And so we're spraying, you know, for bugs. The bugs will come in. When that house was empty, he sprayed it to make sure that we don't have any bugs in there. They'll put traps out. There's lots of things you can learn through experience. Agent came to me one time and she said, "I want to know what happened to this ham." And there was a hole in it about the size of a $50. And I said, "That was a mouse." And she said, "How do you know it was a mouse?" And I said, "He's looking at me." Somewhere in space, that stream is still hanging there. So, you know, I'm sure Ty and the other agents will put out traps to keep the mice off of it. So that's what we talk about preparing the house. Anyway, you see the barn, you have to talk top. They want to see the barn.
It's 10 by 10 building we bought, the guy down in Camp, make the paper when we bought. I talked to an agent today, he actually bought one at Lowe's and put it together himself. So it's a little storage shed, size depends on how big you want it. You know, maybe on the inside of hanging, it kind of depends on you. We chose to put two before us from one side to the other, and you cook. I saw a ham house in Spencer County. They built, you've probably seen this
Yeah.
too. They built a hanger that's really nice with this stainless steel hooks. That's another thing, if you build one at home, use stainless steel because regular metal is just going to get you through one season, maybe.
They corrode quite a bit. And, you know, I'm sure, do you still have a wood floor?
We've still got a wood floor. We did cut a couple of vents in the front, and we've got a fan in the back. That was a couple of years ago. We still don't hook that up, Greg.
Yeah.
We would face the fan out to kind of pull moisture, or pull the air in through the front, pull the moisture out the back. We've not lost any hands due to that yet, and right now we're just kind of waiting to see until we need that fan, we're not gonna hook it up. But it's there.
And the reason why I'm asking about the wood floor, they usually last about 3 or 4, maybe 5 years. You imagine all those hams dripping salt water on there, they, you know, go through pretty quick. Others put in concrete, some just put in gravel. Questions?
If you're gonna smoke it, how long would you smoke it?
Minimum of 12 hours. I have smoked them as long as 36 to 48 hours to get and then 36, 40 hours gives a really, really dark mahogany color. I really liked it. Gets more penetration in there as well, but at least 12 hours or so. Now, bear in mind, when I say that, I'm talking about that smokehouse that I've got that just dumps the smoke in there. It's not like building this fire in the corner and just, no, it's super concentrated smoke. Other questions? There's no game tonight, so we got all night, folks. All right, I guess turn it over to you. Bathrooms are back there if you need to wash up. There's also bathrooms down here. If you need to wash up.
One more thing on the ham house, if you build your own, there's a big lock on it, okay, so they don't come in and steal you. It's kind of hard to divide you guys evenly. We've got enough for 40 upstairs and about 30 some downstairs, so let's try to guess at this. Maybe the 3 back rows go downstairs and 3 front rows stay upstairs. I don't really know how many of these rows. See if there's more, if there's more downstairs.